Several years ago, I set out to read the entire Bible in a year. I had a plan for each day, and if I followed it, I would finish by the end of the year. But I never left Genesis. So, like all good stories, why don't we start in the beginning? When I entered the Hebrew Roots movement, the calendar seemed to be the foremost topic of concern, and was surely the most important on my mind at the time. The first thing to do was to put these dates on the calendar. But how do you figure this out when you are new, and discovering all these things you had missed your whole life, and have no idea what you're even looking for? So I turned to my brothers and sisters in my newly discovered faith. However, our maiden Sukkot was marred with an intense debate between two brothers in faith over whether the month started with the sighted new moon, or the conjunction, or the full moon. Everyone I asked had a different opinion, not only which moon commenced the month, but whether it was a local sighting or a Jerusalem sighting. This was all well within one calendar system, based on the Hillel decree in the 4th century. And these discussions didn't even address the lunar Sabbatarian calendar, or the Enochian calendar, or the Melchizedek calendar, or all of the other calendars that seem to roam the Hebrew Roots congregations. The one thing I know for sure was that time was important to our Creator and the Scriptures. That conclusion set in motion the most intense and complex research of my life, only to find the most simple of answers. I studied all the calendars as they were presented, applied the Scriptures, debated with others, and ultimately discarded them, based on scriptural evidence that was more than lacking. Where is that in Torah? Was the question that always stumped me when researching a calendar. Ultimately, after 3 years, the study was put on hold and given a rest. I was spent. The biggest challenge was trying to apply the celestial bodies as timekeepers, which they clearly weren't given that job. I finally understood that I had to discard everything I thought I knew, and trust that the Creator would show me in His Word. As an organic gardener, I have always used the moon for agricultural reasons, with natural clues as to when seeds needed to be planted. I also knew that there are 2 seasons in planting: a green crop season at the beginning of the year, marked by the spring equinox, and the red, orange, and purple of the autumnal crops seen at the beginning of the end of the year. Eventually, patterns become apparent when you work in close relationships with the land. But these patterns have been lost in our modernized world, where most people have no idea where their food even comes from. Another hurdle was the 365.25 day count isn't a very precise measurement of any kind. All the natural witnesses pointed to a 360-degree circle, compass, or a circuit. Consider this from the website 360dayyear.com. The ecliptic. Because of their great distance, the stars beyond our sun appear fixed in the sky. The Earth's orbit over the course of the year therefore makes the sun appear to rise day after day adjacent to different stars to complete what looks like a full circle through the heavens. Ancient Sumeria, Babylonia, and apparently some in India divided this circle, called the ecliptic, into 360 degrees. God said that He gave us the sun and the moon for seasons and days and years. 360 is a highly composite number, so consider how manageable a calendar God would have made with a year that had that many days. 360 is thus divisible by many numbers, including those especially helpful for calendars and timekeeping. A year of 360 days is reasonably divisible even by the 2 equinoxes, 2 solstices, 4 seasons, 12 months, etc. There's 24 hours in a day, 24 time zones of 15 nominal degrees each, 60 minutes in an hour, and 60 seconds in a minute. Consider also our comfort using a dozen, and with 12 inches in a foot and 36 inches in a yard. Even in major construction, the Babylonian sexagesimal mathematics beat the Greeks to trigonometry by 1,500 years. It was easier to use, and according to the journal Science, was even more accurate than today's modern trigonometry. Where did these 5 1/4 extra days fit? And how do you see or experience a quarter of a day? Those were some of the questions I was asking myself. But aside from the calendar, another issue I had when after joining the Hebrew Roots was beginning the day in the evening. Now don't get me wrong, the Gregorian count still confuses me, and I'm always asking my family for clarification. Is it actually Tuesday in the early morning, or still Monday night? That has always been unnatural to me, either the day start time opening at dusk or midnight, because it's still dark. Because the day start is so important, it will be the first issue tackled and a third rail for many. For the sake of full disclosure, the King James Version with the Strong's Concordance on the eSword app was used for the study as a basis. Also used is the Tanakh 1917 edition and Jeff Brenner's mechanical translations of the Torah. The Strong's Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible, Brown Driver Briggs, Thayer, and Jensenius are all cross-references and utilized with trepidation. In conclusion, I don't propose to know all the answers, or know for sure if there is a correct answer for a calendar at this time. What is proposed is information that will give a better understanding of the Father's purpose for counting time. Remember, counterfeits will scream foul when their pieces don't fit with the ways of the Creator. Hopefully, the words of the Creator will have new meaning, and you will never read the Scriptures the same way again.